Going back to my mother's maternal history in the Storrs family, my grandmother divorced him sometimes after Chester Storrs was born. Chester was the fourth of 4 children. So my grandmother divorced and then remarried William Lewis Smith. He was in the Navy and was 10 years younger than she was. So just putting 2 and 2 together, I'm thinking 1918 or 1919 is when they met and married. He became an instant father to 4 children at that early age, and they had been in boarding school for all those years. Sometime after Chester Storrs, the 4th child of the 4 children, was born, my grandmother divorced Arthur Storrs. She had to support 4 children. She did this by holding down 2 jobs. One of them was working in a laundry, and the other one was in a dance hall. I always thought she was a dime a dance girl, which she wasn't. It wasn't part of her personality at all. She actually worked for the police department, keeping the ages and so forth, and then the drinking, if there was any, I would imagine is what she was doing. So the children were put in a boarding school, a Catholic boarding school. It also was an orphanage. The boys and girls were kept separate, so the girls actually, I don't see how they would have contact with the boys. They were separated in separate places. I asked Mother if Grandmother visited them, and she says when she felt like it. So Mother had feelings about being in a boarding school. She was very young. If she divorced, say 1914, that would make my mother only 7 years old. They wanted Aunt Frances to become a nun, not my mother. She was always a fun-loving person. She got scolded, I know, for turning somersaults. I asked her if they treated her good, and she said they treated her real good. All of the dress-up clothes we had were always purchased at Easter time. I have a lot of dress-up pictures with new clothes, new hats, new shoes. Went to church that day. Family custom. We went to Sunday school, the kids did, but that was the day the whole family went to church. Not necessarily together. So Mother, Aunt Frances, and Ruby at Easter time headed for church. My mother had 3 siblings. Viola and her brother Chester were close together. My Aunt Frances and Arthur were the 2 oldest, and they paired up together. Mother and Uncle Chet went to dances together, enjoyed. Those 2 were pretty wild. Aunt Frances and Uncle Art were more demure. Aunt Frances was very Catholic. Uncle Art was very Catholic. Mother claimed to be Catholic. Uncle Chet claimed to be Catholic, but they were wild kids. Viola at 15 was attending high school at Queen Anne High in Seattle. She was a cheerleader. She didn't have a bathing suit, although Aunt Frances said, "This is your mother in her bathing suit." Well, it's obvious that it's a camisole and bloomers with her stockings rolled down. I said, "I can see that it's a camisole." So she went to school not too much longer after this. I asked her if she graduated from high school, but the custom back then was you went through the 9th grade, was pretty much what it was. So about 1922 is when she was graduating. Chester Stores, being the youngest, partnership with Mama, he became a bartender at a point in time. He was also a lifeguard. He worked in fancy restaurants. He also entered World War II and wound out paralyzed from something that happened during the war. I went to visit him in the hospital, and he died shortly after that. I don't know, 45 or 46.
That's a very good sign that she's out to see, we'll see in the good old sun.